Who Am I Without My Past? A self-rediscovery audiobook for anyone starting over by Elevate You channel. Chapter 1. Your past is not your identity. Sometimes the hardest person to meet is the person you've always been beneath the expectations, the disappointments, and the labels. Today we begin that meeting. Take a slow, deep breath. Allow your shoulders to relax. If you can, close your eyes for a moment. Wherever you are right now, walking, sitting, driving, or resting, I want you to know something important. You are exactly where you need to be, not because everything in your life is perfect, not because every question has been answered, but because you made a decision. You decided to start again, and that single decision has more power than you may realize. Welcome to this journey. Welcome to Who Am I Without My Past? My name isn't the most important part of this conversation. What's important is that for the next hour, you don't have to pretend. You don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to compare yourself with anyone else. This is your safe space. Here on Elevate You channel, we believe that every person deserves another chance, not because they've earned perfection, but because growth is always possible. If you've found yourself asking questions like, why do I feel stuck? Why can't I move on? Will I ever become the person I dream about? Then this audiobook was created for you. Maybe you've experienced heartbreak. Maybe you've lost a job. Maybe you've made mistakes that still haunt you. Maybe you've spent years taking care of everyone else and somewhere along the way forgot to take care of yourself. Or maybe life simply didn't unfold the way you imagined. Whatever brought you here, I want you to hear these words clearly. Your past explains you, but it does not define you. There is a difference. Our experiences shape us. They teach us. Sometimes they wound us. Sometimes they strengthen us. But they are not our identity. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack every day. At first, you hardly notice the weight. Then more and more gets added. A disappointment, a failure, a betrayal, a painful memory, an unkind comment, a missed opportunity. Years pass. You become so used to carrying the backpack that you begin to believe it is part of your body. You forget what it feels like to walk freely. Many of us do the same thing emotionally. We carry yesterday into today. We carry old shame into new opportunities. We carry old fears into new relationships. We carry childhood voices into adult decisions. Eventually, we stop introducing ourselves by who we are. Instead, we introduce ourselves through invisible labels. I'm the one who failed. I'm the divorced woman. I'm the person who never finishes anything. I'm the one who always gets rejected. I'm too old. I'm too late. I'm not enough. These labels may feel familiar, but familiarity does not make them true. Today I invite you to ask yourself a different question. Not, what happened to me? But, who am I beneath everything that happened to me? Take a moment. Breathe deeply. Ask yourself that question again. Who am I beneath my disappointments? Who am I beneath my fears? Who am I beneath my mistakes? You may not have an answer today. That's okay. Rediscovery is not a race. It is a relationship with yourself, one that deserves patience, one that deserves compassion. Think about children learning to walk. They fall, again and again. No loving parent says, well, that's enough. Walking isn't for you. Instead, they encourage. They celebrate tiny progress. Why then do we speak to ourselves with such harshness? Why do we expect perfection from ourselves while giving grace to everyone else? Perhaps it's time to become your own encourager. Perhaps it's time to speak to yourself as kindly as you would speak to someone you deeply love. Here's a simple exercise. Imagine yourself 5 years ago. Picture that version of you. What were they carrying? What were they afraid of? What were they hoping for? Now imagine sitting beside that version of yourself. Would you criticize them, or would you comfort them? Most likely you would comfort them, so why not extend that same compassion to the person you are today? Healing begins the moment we stop fighting ourselves. One truth has the power to change your life. You are not your worst day. You are not your biggest mistake. You are not someone else's opinion. You are not the chapter where life became difficult. You are the author who is still writing the story. And the beautiful thing about stories is that every chapter introduces new possibilities. Maybe this chapter is called hope. Maybe it is called healing. Maybe it is called courage. Or maybe it is simply called beginning again. As this chapter comes to a close, I want to leave you with 3 affirmations. Repeat them slowly. I release the labels that no longer serve me. My past is part of my story, not my identity. I'm becoming someone I am proud to know. Take another deep breath. You have already taken the first step, and first steps matter. Reflection. Exercise. If you have a journal, write down the answers to these questions. What labels have I been carrying that no longer belong to me? What would change if I stopped believing those labels? What 3 words describe the person I truly want to become? There are no right or wrong answers, only honest ones. Chapter 2. The stories you tell yourself. Every morning before you speak to another person, there is already a conversation happening. It is the conversation inside your own mind. It is quiet, sometimes so quiet that you hardly notice it. Yet it influences every decision you make. It whispers, "You'll probably fail. You've never been good enough. Don't try. People like you don't succeed." Or perhaps it whispers something different. "You've survived difficult seasons before. You can learn. You are growing. You have another chance." The voice you listen to most often slowly becomes the voice you believe. Many of the stories we tell ourselves were never written by us. Some came from childhood, some came from criticism, some came from comparison, some came from painful experiences. Imagine a child who is repeatedly told they aren't smart. They may grow into an adult who avoids learning new skills, not because they lack intelligence, but because they accepted someone else's story as truth. The same thing happens in many areas of life. A failed business becomes, "I'm bad with money." A broken relationship becomes, "I'm impossible to love." One rejection becomes, "Nobody wants me." Do you see what happened? An event became an identity, but events are temporary. Identity is a choice that can be rewritten. Today, I want you to become aware of the stories running through your mind, not to judge them, simply to notice them. When fear appears, pause. Ask, is this a fact, or is it a story I've repeated so many times that it feels true? There is incredible freedom in asking that question, because once you recognize a story, you can begin to edit it. Let's practice. Old story. I always fail. New story. I've experienced failure and I've also learned resilience. Old story. It's too late. New story. My timeline doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Old story. I'm not confident. New story. Confidence grows through action, not perfection. Notice that these new stories are not unrealistic. They are honest. They acknowledge the past without surrendering the future. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is to become intentional about your inner dialogue. Each morning, before checking your phone or worrying about your responsibilities, spend just 2 minutes speaking life into yourself. Try saying, "Today I choose growth over fear. I am learning. I am healing. I am becoming." At first, it may feel unfamiliar. That's okay. New habits often do. The goal isn't to convince yourself that life is perfect. The goal is to stop allowing yesterday's pain to dictate today's possibilities. As you continue this journey, remember this. You don't have to erase your past to create a better future. You simply have to stop letting your past hold the pen. From today onward, let your values, your dreams, and your hope begin writing the next pages of your story. Reflection exercise. Before moving on, pause and answer these questions. What is one negative story I tell myself repeatedly? Where did that story begin? Is it completely true? What healthier, more empowering story can I choose instead? Finally, repeat these affirmations aloud. I have the power to rewrite my story. My thoughts shape my future, and today I choose hope. I am no longer living by yesterday's script. Take one final deep breath. Smile gently. You've already begun rewriting the story of your life. one thought, one choice, and one day at a time. I'll meet you in the next chapter where we'll explore how to let go without forgetting and how healing can make room for the life you're becoming. Until then, remember this. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. Chapter 3. Letting Go Without Forgetting. Healing doesn't ask you to erase your past. It gently teaches you how to carry it differently. Take a slow, deep breath. Inhale peace. Exhale the weight you've been carrying. If you've made it this far, I want to acknowledge something. You're doing brave work. Looking inward is not always comfortable. It requires honesty. It requires patience. And most importantly, it requires kindness toward yourself. Today, we're going to talk about something many people misunderstand: letting go. For years, I believed letting go meant forgetting. I thought healing meant pretending painful memories never happened. I believed that if something still hurt, then I hadn't healed enough. But I was wrong. Healing isn't memory loss. Healing is learning that a memory no longer controls your future. There are experiences in your life that deserve to be remembered, not because they were good, but because they made you wiser. Think about a scar on your body. The scar tells a story. Maybe you fell as a child. Maybe you had surgery. Maybe life left its mark. You don't stare at the scar every day, but when you notice it, you remember. And yet, the scar no longer bleeds. That's what emotional healing looks like. The memory remains. The wound doesn't. Many of us continue reopening emotional wounds because we replay painful moments over and over. We ask ourselves questions that have no answers. Why me? What if I had done something differently? Why didn't they love me? What if I had one more chance? These questions are understandable, but sometimes they become prisons. Imagine sitting in a rocking chair. You're moving constantly, yet you're going nowhere. That is what overthinking often feels like: movement without progress. Healing begins when we accept that some questions may never be answered. And surprisingly, that's okay. Because peace doesn't always come from understanding. Sometimes peace comes from acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean saying what happened was fair. It doesn't mean approving of the hurt. It simply means saying, "This happened. I cannot change yesterday, but I can choose how I live today." Those words carry incredible freedom. Now I'd like you to imagine holding a heavy stone in your hands. This stone represents every regret, every disappointment, every harsh word you've spoken to yourself. Notice how heavy it feels. Now imagine placing that stone beside a peaceful river. You don't throw it away with anger. You simply set it down, because you've decided you no longer need to carry it everywhere you go. That is what letting go looks like. It is a decision, not an event. You may have to make that decision many times. Some mornings you'll wake up feeling strong. Other mornings old memories will return. That doesn't mean you've failed. Healing isn't a straight road. It's more like climbing a mountain. Sometimes the path is smooth. Sometimes it's steep. Sometimes clouds hide the view. But every step still brings you closer to the top. One thing I want you to remember is this: forgiveness is not always about the other person. Often forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. It says, "I refuse to let yesterday continue stealing today's joy." That doesn't mean allowing unhealthy people back into your life. It means refusing to let bitterness become your permanent companion. As you continue your self-rediscovery journey, ask yourself, what am I still carrying that no longer serves me? Maybe it's guilt, maybe it's shame, maybe it's fear, maybe it's someone else's expectations. Whatever it is, you have permission to put it down, not because it never mattered, but because your future matters too. Take another deep breath. Feel the air filling your lungs. Notice that each breath is new. Life keeps giving us another breath, another sunrise, another opportunity. Perhaps that's God's gentle reminder that every day is another chance to begin again. Reflection exercise. Take a few quiet moments to answer these questions. What memory still holds power over me? What lesson has it taught me? What would my life feel like if I stopped carrying its weight every day? Write your answers without judging yourself. Simply listen to your heart. Affirmations. Repeat these slowly. I release what I cannot change. I forgive myself for being human. I choose peace over regret. My future deserves my energy more than my past. Take a gentle breath. Smile if you can. You're lighter than you were yesterday, and that's worth celebrating. Chapter 4. Rediscovering the person you are. Today. You cannot become who you're meant to be if you keep introducing yourself as the person you used to be. Welcome back. By now you've begun releasing old labels. You've started rewriting the stories inside your mind. You've taken your first steps toward letting go. Now comes one of the most exciting parts of the journey, meeting the person you are becoming. So often we ask, who was I before life became difficult? But perhaps a better question is, who am I becoming because I survived it? Take a moment to think about how much you've overcome. You may not give yourself enough credit. There were mornings when getting out of bed felt impossible, yet here you are. There were days when you questioned everything, yet you kept going. There were moments when you thought your story had ended, yet another chapter began. That is resilience. Sometimes we imagine strength as something loud, someone standing on a stage, someone winning awards, someone who never cries. But real strength often looks very different. Sometimes strength is quietly making breakfast for your family when your heart feels heavy. Sometimes strength is applying for another job after being rejected. Sometimes strength is choosing kindness after experiencing pain. Sometimes strength is simply deciding not to give up. You are stronger than you realize. Now I'd like you to imagine meeting yourself 5 years from today. Picture that future version of you. Notice the confidence in the way they walk, the peace in their smile. Chapter 5. Creating the person you want to become. Every meaningful transformation begins with one simple decision: to become intentional about the life you create. Take a slow, deep breath. Notice that your breathing is steady, your heart is still beating, and that means something beautiful. You are still here. You still have another opportunity. As we've journeyed together, you've learned that your past does not define you. You've recognized the stories you've been telling yourself. You've begun letting go of unnecessary burdens, and you've started rediscovering the incredible person you already are. Now comes the question that changes everything. Who do you want to become? Not who your family expects you to be, not who social media tells you to be, not who your fears tell you that you can never become, but who do you want to become? Close your eyes for a moment if you're able. Imagine waking up 5 years from now. You open your eyes with peace instead of worry. You look in the mirror with kindness instead of criticism. You have relationships built on respect. You make decisions with confidence. You smile more often. You laugh freely. You trust yourself. That future version of you is not a fantasy. It is built one decision at a time. Many people believe that change happens overnight, but nature teaches us something different. A seed doesn't become a tree in one day. It grows beneath the soil long before anyone notices. Day after day, rain, sunshine, patience, growth. Your life works the same way. The habits you choose today become the person you meet tomorrow. If you want a peaceful life, practice peaceful thoughts. If you want healthy relationships, become someone who communicates with honesty and kindness. If you want confidence, take small, courageous actions every day. Don't underestimate the power of tiny changes. Reading 10 pages, taking a 20-minute walk, drinking more water, writing in your journal, praying, meditating, calling a loved one, learning a new skill. These small actions seem insignificant on their own, but repeated consistently, they create extraordinary transformation. Remember this: you don't rise to the level of your goals, you grow through the consistency of your daily choices. There will be days when motivation disappears. That's normal. Don't rely only on motivation. Build routines that continue even when you don't feel inspired. Ask yourself each morning, what is one small thing I can do today that my future self will thank me for? Then do that one thing. Progress is never wasted. Today I encourage you to create your personal vision, not a perfect plan, just a direction. Finish these sentences in your journal. I want to become someone who. My future is filled with the habits I choose starting today are. There are no perfect answers, only honest ones. The life you desire is built through countless ordinary moments lived with purpose. Believe in slow growth. Believe in quiet progress. Believe in yourself. Because every day you choose growth, you are becoming someone your younger self would be proud of. Reflection. Exercise. Write down your answers. What kind of person do I want to become? What 3 habits will help me become that person? What is one action I can take today? Daily affirmations. Repeat slowly. I choose growth over comfort. My future is created by today's choices. I am becoming stronger every day. I trust the process of my transformation. Take another deep breath. Smile gently. You are no longer waiting for life to change. You are becoming the reason your life changes. Chapter 6. Your next chapter begins today. The best chapters of your life don't begin when everything is perfect. They begin when you decide to move forward anyway. If you've listened from the beginning of this audiobook, I want to say something from my heart. I'm proud of you. Not because you've become perfect, but because you've stayed present. You've chosen to reflect. You've chosen to heal. You've chosen hope. That choice matters more than you know. Many people spend their lives waiting until they feel ready, waiting until fear disappears, waiting until someone gives them permission. But life rarely works that way. Courage doesn't arrive before action. Courage grows because of action. As we reach the end of this audiobook, I want you to remember that this is not the end of your journey. It is your beginning. The title of this audiobook asks a powerful question. Who am I without my past? Perhaps now you have a different answer. You are someone who is learning, someone who is healing, someone who is growing, someone who is choosing peace, someone who is writing a new story. Life will still have difficult days. There will be moments when old fears return. There will be times when you doubt yourself. When that happens, don't see it as failure. See it as an invitation to practice everything you've learned. Remember the lessons we've shared together. Your past is part of your story, not your identity. Your thoughts can be rewritten. Healing is possible. Small daily choices create lasting change, and every sunrise brings another opportunity to begin again. I want to leave you with one final visualization. Imagine yourself standing at the entrance of a beautiful path. Behind you is everything you've survived. Ahead of you is everything you have yet to discover. You don't know every twist or turn. You don't know every challenge, but you do know this. You are no longer the person who first arrived here. You've grown. You've reflected. You've found hope. Now take your first step, then another, and another. Because that is how extraordinary lives are built. Not through giant leaps, but through faithful, consistent steps. Final guided reflection. Close your eyes if you can. Take a deep breath in. Slowly breathe out. Place one hand over your heart. Feel its steady rhythm. Let these words sink in. I am enough. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of peace. I forgive myself. I release my past. I welcome new beginnings. I trust my journey. I believe in my future. I choose hope. Stay with those words for a few quiet moments. Allow yourself to simply be. No pressure, no expectations, only peace. A letter to you. Before we say goodbye, I'd like to leave you with this. Dear friend, thank you for allowing me to walk beside you on this journey. Even if we've never met, I believe in your ability to rebuild. I believe that your greatest days are still ahead of you. I believe that your story still has beautiful chapters waiting to be written. Whenever life feels heavy, come back to these words. Take one breath. Take one step. Choose one act of courage. That's enough for today. And tomorrow, do it again. If this audiobook has encouraged you, know that this is only the beginning. Here at Elevate You channel, we're building more than a collection of videos. We're building a community, a place where people who are starting over can find hope, practical guidance, and the courage to keep moving forward. Whether you're rediscovering yourself after loss, rebuilding your confidence, changing careers, embracing motherhood, healing from disappointment, or simply searching for a fresh start, you have a place here. If these words resonated with you, I invite you to continue this journey with us. Subscribe to Elevate You channel and become part of a growing community committed to healing, growth, and intentional living. Share this audiobook with someone who needs a reminder that their past does not define their future. And remember, every morning is a new invitation. Every choice is a new beginning. Every breath is proof that your story is still being written. Until we meet again, be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Keep growing, keep believing, and never forget, you are not starting from nothing. You are starting from experience, wisdom, resilience, and hope. Your next chapter begins today. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in our next journey together here on Elevate You channel.